Hello everyone, welcome to Anime Octopus. I'm glad to have you here on the channel. Today, we begin an exciting new fanfiction journey titled, Naruko, the Sword, the Mark, the Legacy. Before we dive in, please note. Disclaimer, the content featured on this channel is intended solely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not claim ownership of any anime footage used in these videos. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Let's get started. Two young shinobi stood at the center of a dazzling dome, made entirely of enchanted ice mirrors. The first had sleek black hair and wore a fitted blue shirt with khaki shorts. His eyes were deep red, activated by his recently awakened bloodline ability, the Sharingan. Two tomoe swirled in his right eye and one in his left, allowing him to catch fleeting glimpses of their opponent as he darted between the mirrors above them. Agile and focused, he dodged the volley of slender senbon needles with grace. Still, a few found their mark with each wave of attack. Despite that, he remained determined, the final heir of the once revered Uchiha clan. His name, Uchiha Sasuke. Standing beside him was his teammate, a young kunoichi with sunbright blonde hair and radiant sapphire blue eyes. She wore a vibrant orange jumpsuit and had 3 soft, whisker-like markings on each cheek. Though courageous and full of energy, her reflexes weren't as sharp as Sasuke's. Without a special visual ability, she struggled to track the needles and was hit far more often. She was known as the most spirited, energetic, and unpredictable ninja of the Hidden Leaf. The village once misunderstood her, yet she carried the dreams of a great legacy within her heart. Her name, Uzumaki Naruko. Their opponent was swift beyond ordinary means. Even Sasuke, with his heightened senses, was barely keeping up. Within the icy mirror dome, their adversary, Haku, Zabuza's trusted partner, was nearly impossible to catch. Sensing a shift, Haku suddenly focused his attack on Naruko. What happened next surprised both teammates. Time slowed. Naruko watched helplessly as the needles zoomed toward her. Just as she braced herself, everything seemed to sharpen, her awareness heightened beyond explanation. Before she could fully understand, she was pushed to the ground by a blur. Sasuke had shielded her. "Why?" Naruko whispered, eyes wide with disbelief. Equally stunned, Sasuke looked down at her. I don't know. My body just moved on its own," he murmured before losing consciousness and collapsing softly. "Sasuke!" Naruko called, her voice trembling. The black-haired ninja looked up at her one last time, his gaze calm yet full of conviction. "That person. My older sibling. I always told myself I wouldn't give up until I confronted them." He paused, his expression earnest. You have to stay strong." Naruko clenched her fists, her heart overflowing with emotions, grief, regret, and a growing flame of determination. She had to be stronger, for her teammate, for herself, and for the mission ahead. "He protected someone dear to him, even knowing the danger," Haku said gently. "That is the way of a shinobi. To cherish and protect." "Stop," Naruko whispered. Something within her stirred, an ancient, untamed energy. A brilliant spiral of red chakra flared to life around her. It was wild and overwhelming, yet its core was rooted in purpose, not chaos. "Is the seal weakening?" thought Kakashi, watching from afar. Even Zabuza, experienced and composed, sensed the shift. "That chakra? It's not Kakashi's." The masked figure, Haku, gazed at Naruko in stunned silence. Her eyes, once sky blue, now shimmered with a powerful crimson hue, slitted and sharp. Her chakra cloaked her in a radiant form resembling a fox spirit, casting shadows across the icy mirrors. The senbon needles embedded in her form fell away effortlessly, and her minor injuries visibly began to mend. Haku's thoughts raced. Her energy. It's healing her. What is she? Naruko's forehead protector slipped from her head as the red chakra changed again, now appearing as dark, ethereal flames, intense yet refined. The whisker marks on her cheeks deepened slightly, but her expression remained focused. Kakashi and Zabuza stood frozen, each aware that something extraordinary was unfolding. Even Sakura and Tazuna, who stood farther away in the mist, felt the power in the air. Sakura clutched her chest, unnerved by the shifting emotions the energy carried, first despair, then fury, and now something calm and unshakably resolute. "It's strong. Stronger than anything I've ever felt," she whispered. Kakashi's reaction was different, tinged with familiarity. He remembered this feeling from the past, when the village faced a powerful force years ago. It was unmistakable. It can't be," Kakashi murmured, his voice hushed in disbelief. He turned to the origin of the power. "Impossible. Zabuza raised an eyebrow. One of your students is doing something they shouldn't be capable of, Kakashi? Na Naruko, Kakashi said slowly, his eyes narrowed. She just awakened a legendary ability. One that was believed to have vanished years ago. Zabuza chuckled skeptically. You really think that's enough to beat Haku? Under normal circumstances, no, Kakashi admitted. But given who she is, and the power she's just begun to tap into. If she learns to control it, she could overcome even us both. What kind of power is that supposed to be? Kakashi responded with two simple words, yet they made even Zabuza pause. The Jogan. The name sent ripples of recognition through the air. The Jogan was ancient, mysterious, and respected by even the most formidable of warriors. Zabuza narrowed his eyes. You're serious? I've only ever sensed this energy from one person before, Kakashi explained. And he had no living relatives. If Naruko carries the same gift, then everything we know might be about to change. Haku watched with widening eyes as the girl before him rose steadily to her feet. The intense presence she had radiated moments ago began to settle, but the energy in the air remained charged. Then, something unexpected caught Haku's attention. Naruko's golden, spiky hair stood slightly taller at the front, no longer shielding her forehead. A fine line appeared there, glowing softly with an azure hue. As it widened, the light intensified, until the slit fully opened, revealing a third eye shimmering with a striking sapphire glow, slightly slitted yet calm. You will regret this, she said, her voice trembling not with fear, but determination. I won't let you hurt my friends again. Haku instinctively retreated back into the safety of his mirrors, unsettled by the change in Naruko. This power. This unwavering will. She's not the same ninja I faced earlier, Haku thought, the aura around Naruko shifting like a storm preparing to break loose. A sudden pulse of energy burst forth from her as she stepped forward with unwavering purpose. As she advanced, Haku launched a wave of senbon toward her. Yet, the needles were effortlessly deflected by the sheer force of her presence. In a flash, Naruko shattered one of the ice mirrors with a single, focused strike. Haku's image reappeared in every mirror, his expression filled with surprise. Her speed had escalated to levels he hadn't anticipated, and her previous limitations seemed to have vanished. As Haku directed a full barrage of needles toward her, they embedded into her skin briefly, but her third eye glowed brightly again, and a vibrant, red-tinged energy surrounded her form. Within moments, the needles were repelled, and her injuries began to mend instantly. Naruko surged forward once more, and another mirror cracked under the force of her blow. Haku tried to reposition himself above her, launching a rapid counterattack, but she anticipated the move and evaded with grace. Then she began forming a sequence of unfamiliar hand signs. Gukuten, Enochi and Kuno Kobushi, she declared, igniting her fist in brilliant orange and black flames. She hurled the flaming energy forward, and the mirror Haku had just escaped was vaporized in an instant. His eyes widened at the realization, her power wasn't bound by conventional limitations. She reappeared before him almost instantly, her third eye shining like a beacon. In desperation, Haku released more senbon, hoping to slow her down. But she seemed to vanish for a moment, the needles flying through empty space. He barely registered the movement before she caught his wrist. Another shockwave rippled outward, knocking the wind out of Haku. Zabuza-san. I'm sorry. I can't match her strength. He thought, as Naruko seamlessly transitioned into a one-handed seal technique, mirroring Haku's own skill from earlier. Gukuten, Enochi and Kuno Kobushi. She repeated, her fist once again igniting. The blow sent Haku crashing through a mirror and tumbling across the ground, finally landing in a heap, dazed and breathless. From a distance, Sakura had been watching in stunned silence. That energy. That was Naruko's voice. Sasuke. Please be okay. Her heart pounded as the mysterious chakra vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. Haku tried to rise, struggling to regain his balance. Out of the corner of his vision, he saw Naruko walking toward him. Her expression was serious, her third eye still glowing with focused clarity. Their gazes met, and for a moment, time seemed to stop. You. Naruko's voice trembled. Her gaze softened, the vibrant glow in her forehead eye gradually dimming. Her usual sapphire blue eyes returned to their natural form. She had recognized him. Haku's mask, damaged during the earlier attack, had been completely destroyed. You're the one from the forest, Naruko said quietly, the memory flashing through her mind. Why did you stop? Haku asked gently. I harmed someone close to you. Why won't you fight me anymore? Naruko looked back at the shattered mirrors, at Sasuke lying motionless. She turned to Haku again, eyes full of turmoil. I don't know, she murmured, the confusion in her voice genuine. Haku coughed softly and managed to stand, though his body trembled. That strength. Where did it go? You can't win like that. Was he not someone you truly cared about? Naruko remained silent, her emotions tangled and uncertain. She remembered Haku's earlier words, spoken with conviction. Words about being needed. About having a reason to exist. There are some, Haku began, who hesitate. They believe sparing someone is mercy. But they don't realize how painful it is to be left without purpose. To feel as though you don't belong anywhere. Naruko's fists clenched. What are you trying to say? She asked, though in her heart, she already knew. Zabuza-san has no use for someone who cannot protect him. You've taken away my purpose. And with it, the only reason I had to keep going. Naruko's expression twisted in sympathy. Why? Why would you fight for someone like that? Doesn't he work for dangerous people? He's not a kind person. Is he really the only one you care about? I had a family once, Haku replied solemnly. My parents. They were kind, gentle. We lived simply in the land of water. Even though we didn't have much, we were happy. For a while. His eyes grew distant as he recalled painful memories. My mother. She carried a rare ability. A special gift. She kept it hidden. But one day, my father discovered the truth. Naruko leaned in, her curiosity and concern growing. What happened? Haku's voice trembled slightly. My father didn't understand. He feared what he saw. I was still young when my abilities awakened. And in that confusion, he turned against us. Naruko was silent, trying to process the pain behind his words. She thought about her own past, about being shunned and misunderstood. When I came to my senses, everything had changed. I realized then how painful it is. To feel like you have no place. Like the world doesn't need you. That's the most painful thing someone can feel? Naruko asked quietly, already understanding the answer. Haku nodded. Yes. To be unwanted. Unseen. Forgotten. That's why I followed Zabuza-san. He saw my gift. He gave me a reason to live again. I felt needed. I was happy. Tears shimmered in Haku's eyes as he looked at the sky. I'm sorry, Zabuza-san. I wasn't strong enough. He turned to Naruko with a faint, almost peaceful smile. Naruko-chan. Please. End this. Meanwhile, Kakashi and Zabuza remained locked in a tense standoff. As the earlier surge of energy dissipated, Kakashi's concern deepened. He couldn't tell if Naruko had succeeded in her encounter with Haku. The sounds of their confrontation had long faded, and there was no sign of either Naruko or Sasuke. Looks like your students run out of strength, Kakashi, Zabuza said with a smirk. Kakashi narrowed his eyes, masking his uncertainty with confidence. Zabuza. Let's bring this to an end. One decisive move. Kakashi swiftly pulled out a scroll and unrolled it with practiced precision. Using a small sharp edge from his flak vest, he tapped his finger and traced the seals with the necessary chakra. He completed a trio of hand signs and pressed the scroll to the ground. Ninpa Kushios Doden, Suiga no Jutsu. Kakashi called out. Zabuza sensed the sudden shift in chakra but observed nothing happening. Is that all? He mocked. You can't even sense where I am in this mist. But Kakashi remained calm. You may have hidden yourself from sight and sound, he replied in a teaching tone, but you've overlooked another sense. Without warning, several ninja hounds burst from the ground, surrounding Zabuza and catching him by surprise. From a distance, Sakura and Tazuna could hear a low growling. What's that sound? Tazuna asked, visibly unnerved. Sakura frowned, trying to concentrate. Something's happening. I just wish we could see it. Meanwhile, Kakashi addressed Zabuza directly. You've underestimated me. I prepared for this. Your weapons carry my scent, and that's all my ninja dogs need. You're the one caught in a trap. As the mist began to lift, Zabuza could finally see that Kakashi was only a few feet away, and his limbs were restrained by Kakashi's summoning. It's over, Zabuza, Kakashi declared. You let your ambitions cloud your judgment. You lost sight of what it truly means to be a ninja. You turned your back on your village and ended up relying on people like Gato. Zabuza glared back. Spare me the lecture. Kakashi responded with 3 swift hand seals. As chakra crackled around his form, he grasped his wrist, concentrating power into his hand. Reikiri. Zabuza's eyes widened at the vibrant energy. I can see it. The chakra. So much power. You're a threat to the hope of this country, Kakashi said, lightning radiating from his palm. The bridge Tazuna is building represents a future beyond fear. You've chosen a path that tramples over others. Zabuza chuckled under his breath. I chose to fight for my ideals. That will never change. I'll say it once more, stand down. But Zabuza's silence made Kakashi's decision for him. With resolve, the copy ninja dashed forward. Dash. Elsewhere, Naruko faced Haku. The girl was frozen, not by fear, but by the weight of the decision before her. Please, Haku said softly. End it. You must. Naruko shook her head, her golden hair swaying with her movement. I don't understand you at all. You keep calling yourself a tool. But you're not. You're a person. Is that so wrong? Haku's voice was gentle, but filled with pain. But that's not how people should live, Naruko said. There are other ways to be recognized. You don't have to fight for someone else's dreams. Haku's small smile returned. When I met you, I sensed we were alike. I hoped you would understand. Naruko's breath caught. If we had met under different circumstances, we could have been friends. Suddenly, Haku reached out, stopping Naruko's motion. I'm sorry, Naruko-chan. I can't leave yet. With a quick set of hand signs, Haku vanished. Dash. As Kakashi advanced, a crack opened in the bridge, freezing air bursting forth. A mirror of ice appeared, and Haku stepped into the path between Kakashi and Zabuza. But just as the blow was about to land, Naruko reappeared in a flash, intercepting the attack. Her arm, glowing with dark orange flames, clashed with the electrified Reikiri. Kakashi-sensei, Sakura cried out. The shock of the moment left everyone stunned. And Naruko. What were you thinking? Kakashi exclaimed. I couldn't just let you hurt Haku, Naruko said weakly, lowering her arm. She shoved Kakashi's attack away and delivered a firm palm strike to Kakashi's chest, pushing him back. He staggered but remained on his feet. Sakura's voice trembled. Naruko. You're okay. But where's Sasuke-kun? Naruko couldn't look at her. She simply turned her gaze downward, and Sakura's eyes widened in horror. She turned and dashed toward where Sasuke had fallen, with Tazuna close behind. When they arrived, Sakura fell to her knees beside Sasuke. The boy lay still and silent. He's cold, she whispered, brushing her fingers along his cheek. This isn't a genjutsu, is it? You can cry, Tazuna said gently. There's no shame in that. Sakura's voice cracked as she spoke. I always scored perfectly on tests in the academy. I memorized every rule in the shinobi code. One of the rules said a ninja must never show emotion. But I can't hold it in. She wept into Sasuke's chest as Tazuna looked away, deeply moved. So this is the path of a shinobi. It's too cruel. Naruko, nearby, closed her eyes. Her energy was nearly spent, and she only vaguely felt herself being caught by Haku before everything went dark. Dash. When Naruko opened her eyes, the early light of dawn was shining through the window. I feel completely drained, she mumbled. You pushed yourself too far, Kakashi said, seated against the wall nearby. But you're going to be fine. Is everyone all right? Naruko asked anxiously. Kakashi nodded. Sasuke survived. A wave of relief washed over Naruko's face. Thank goodness. Zabuza was defeated. Gato's own thugs turned against him. But why? Gato had a pattern. He hired rogue ninja, but when it was time to pay them, he would betray them if they survived. Zabuza ended up turning against him first. Naruko hesitated. And Haku? Kakashi glanced toward the sleeping figure nearby. He's still here. He's been by your side since you passed out. When we return to the village, he's coming with us. Naruko smiled faintly, relieved. What about my Kekkei Genkai? She asked. It's called the Joggin, Kakashi explained. Very rare. Only one other person in our village ever awakened it, someone I believe may have been your father. Naruko's eyes widened. My father? I need to confirm it with the Hokage, Kakashi said. But if I'm right, the man who had this same ability was also my teacher. His name was Kazama Arashi. Naruko's breath caught. The fourth Hokage? Kakashi gave a quiet nod. But I know. It's a lot to take in, Kakashi said gently. But think about this, If you were Hokage and saw a way to save the village, could you ask another family to sacrifice their child when you knew your own child had a chance to become a hero? Naruko was silent, but the meaning settled in her heart. I think. I understand. Would you like to know more about your bloodline ability? Kakashi asked. Naruko nodded firmly. The Jogan enhances your perception, beyond what most can imagine. With training, it can evolve even further. Your father mastered it, and with time, you can too. When it's activated, a third eye appears on your forehead, Kakashi explained with a soft chuckle as Naruko instinctively touched her forehead. Not even the fourth Hokage completely understood its full capabilities. But from what he shared with me, it enhanced his chakra control and occasionally provided sudden boosts of strength, like what happened to you on the bridge. It can also heighten your reflexes to the point where an opponent's movements feel slowed down. In addition, it grants access to specialized techniques that only someone with that eye can perform. Not even the Sharingan can replicate them. Wow! Was all Naruko could manage in response. I'll leave you to rest for now, but we'll need to speak with the third Hokage about whether the fourth was truly your father. Regardless of that, I have something that'll complement the new abilities you've developed through the Jogan. I'm certain the fourth would have wanted you to receive it, whether or not you're his daughter, Kakashi said as he turned to leave. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei, Naruko replied with a soft smile. Kakashi paused at the doorway. One more thing, Naruko. The Jogan possesses a will of its own. While it is a part of you and can be guided, it also carries its own awareness. It values honor deeply and demands to be treated with respect. All of the fourth's rivals who underestimated it faced serious consequences. He left Naruko with much to consider. The land of waves was filled with joy after Naruko awakened. The entire community rejoiced in their newfound freedom from Gato's control, though not everyone felt like celebrating. Two individuals remained quiet, their hearts still holding on to someone whose absence could not be ignored. Haku stood quietly at the docks near Tazuna's house, gazing out over the sea. When Naruko joined him, there were no words, only silence. When the time came for the celebration, Haku chose not to attend, saying he needed space. Naruko and Sasuke didn't stay long either. Naruko was concerned about her friend, and Sasuke preferred to distance himself from the crowd. Shortly afterward, the bridge was completed, and Team 7, along with Haku, prepared to return home. They made one final stop at Zabuza's resting place, where his sword had been respectfully placed as a symbolic marker. Haku burned incense, and Sakura gently laid flowers nearby. I was wondering, Kakashi-sensei, Sakura began, does a ninja really have to live by what he said? Haku looked to Kakashi with great interest. Ninja are traditionally taught not to seek personal meaning, Kakashi replied. They're seen as tools, expected to function without question. That perspective exists in Konoha as well. As Kakashi spoke, Sakura walked back to the group. Haku glanced at Naruko, who stood at the cliff's edge, her expression filled with thought. Emotions danced across her features before she quietly made up her mind. Does being a true ninja really mean living like that? Naruko asked, her voice calm but uncertain. Just days earlier, Haku would have firmly agreed, but Naruko's question made him pause. I don't really like that idea, she added, frowning gently. Do you believe that? Sasuke asked Kakashi. Not entirely, Kakashi answered thoughtfully. That's why many shinobi suffer from this idea, just as Zabuza did. Naruko turned back toward the grave, then raised her voice with determination. All right. I'll follow my own path, one where I never look back with regret. She looked skyward, a genuine smile lighting up her face. Kakashi gave her a small smile in return, his visible eye crinkling with amusement. Haku smiled too. We've completed the bridge, thanks to you, said Tazuna. We're going to miss all of you. Take care, said Tsunami with a warm smile. Thank you for everything, Kakashi responded kindly. Don't worry, we'll visit again someday, Naruko said cheerfully. She no longer wore her signature orange jacket, it had been too damaged to save. Instead, she wore a simple black t-shirt with a red spiral symbol on the front, her orange pants, and her forehead protector tied around her neck. She kept it there to avoid damaging it when accessing the special flame she was learning to control, what Kakashi had called the mortal flame. Kakashi had explained that this orange and black flame was a rare power that burned hotter than even lava. To his knowledge, only the fourth Hokage had ever mastered it, through the power of the Jogan. It also enabled him to use his most famous technique, the Flying Thunder God. Naruko's smile faded slightly as she noticed Inari's sad expression. Inari. You're going to miss us, huh? It's okay to cry, you know. I'm not crying. But you can, Naruko, Inari said, struggling to hold back tears. Is that so? Naruko turned quickly, hiding her face. See you later. A few quiet tears escaped despite her effort to remain strong. Sakura rolled her eyes affectionately. So stubborn. As Team 7 and Haku walked away, the villagers of the Land of Waves watched them leave. The girl changed Inari's heart, Tazuna said. And Inari changed the hearts of the people. She built a bridge of courage that gave us all hope. Speaking of bridges. We still need to name this one. A villager called out. I have the perfect name, Tazuna said with a smile, eyes following Naruko in the distance. How about the Great Naruko Bridge? Tsunami giggled. That's a wonderful name. All right. When we get back, I'm going to ask Iruka-sensei to treat me to some ramen for completing the mission. Then I'll tell Konohamaru all about our adventure. Then I'll. Hey Sasuke-kun, Sakura interrupted, wanna go on a date when we get back? No, came Sasuke's blunt reply. Naruko and Haku both rolled their eyes. I'll go. Naruko chimed in playfully. Be quiet, Naruko baka, Sakura snapped and gave her a playful tap on the head. Haku shook his head with a smile at Naruko's continued efforts to win Sakura's attention. The return trip to Konoha took longer than the journey to the Land of Waves. Without the pressure of escorting Tazuna or intense battle training, the group could travel at a more relaxed pace. Sasuke was focusing on gaining better control of his Sharingan, now managing to maintain 2 tomoe in his left eye. Naruko spent her time learning to keep her Jogan open and use it to refine her chakra control. Meanwhile, Sakura trained alongside Haku, who began teaching her beginner-level healing techniques and taijutsu to strengthen her foundation. Hey Naruko, what's going on with that eye of yours? Sakura asked during a break. Naruko stood near a bonfire, attempting to use the Jogan to influence the flames, though her progress was slow. Her hair stood slightly on end from the chakra, and her Jogan glowed with a soft teal light. She wore only her orange pants, her shirt had been removed after several others had been damaged by the flames. Sakura noticed the seal on Naruko's stomach slowly fade as her chakra stabilized. When she asked about it earlier, Naruko had vaguely described it as a containment seal to help manage her chakra. Though Sasuke, Sakura, and Haku could tell she wasn't lying, it was also clear she was withholding something. Her bright smile would falter ever so slightly before she returned to her usual cheerful self. After some thought, Sakura realized Naruko always acted like that. And she began to wonder. How much of the real Naruko did anyone ever truly know? It's a Kekkei Genkai called the Jogan, Naruko explained. It's a dojutsu, kind of like Sasuke's Sharingan or the Hyuga clan's Byakugan. She turned to face Sakura with a thoughtful look. After discovering she possessed a rare bloodline ability, Naruko had persistently questioned both Kakashi and Haku about other known Kekkei Genkai that existed within the Hidden Leaf Village or elsewhere across the continent. Haku explained his unique ability, the Hyotan, Ice Release, and Kakashi spoke of a legendary one known as Makuten, Wood Release, which had once been wielded by the first Hokage. He also drew comparisons between the Jogan and the two more widely known ocular abilities, the Byakugan and the Sharingan. Kakashi then mentioned whispers of an elusive technique called Shikatsumyaku, Bone Pulse, said to have vanished alongside its users from the Mist Village long ago. However, since even the Hyotan was once believed to be extinct, the possibility of undiscovered survivors remained, although slim. The incident leading to the disappearance of many bloodline users occurred roughly a decade ago, and most official records had been lost or deliberately erased. Surely it can't be SD, Sakura started, before Kakashi quickly placed a hand over her mouth. Trust me, Sakura, he said firmly, his single visible eye sharp and serious. Never, under any circumstances, speak poorly of that eye, even by accident. The intensity of his tone silenced the entire group. Even Sasuke and Haku looked on, intrigued by Kakashi's sudden shift in demeanor. The origins of the Jogan are shrouded in mystery, he continued. Unlike the Byakugan or the Sharingan, it is not native to the Leaf Village. In fact, only one other confirmed case of the Jogan has been recorded throughout the entire elemental nations. Its abilities remain largely unknown, even to those who possess it. What distinguishes it the most is that the Jogan appears to have a consciousness of its own. I've never seen anything like it. Sakura glanced nervously at Naruko, then took a cautious breath. You mentioned only one other person ever had the Jogan. And based on what you're saying, it sounds like you knew them. Who were they? She asked. I mean, None of us ever heard about the Joggin in the academy, and her voice softened. As far as anyone knows, Naruko doesn't have any family. What happened to them? She hesitated. The animosity from some villagers toward her blonde teammate had never sat well with her. People might have claimed it was because of her pranks, but with the emergence of a powerful bloodline, one couldn't help but wonder if something deeper was at play. Kakashi glanced toward Naruko, whose expression had dimmed with emotion. After we return, he said gently, Naruko and I must speak with the Hokage first. Then, we'll share what we can. With that, he turned and quietly disappeared into the forest. Naruko, Sakura whispered, concern overtaking her earlier curiosity. Don't worry, Kakashi reassured her. She just needs some time. Naruko remained unusually quiet for the rest of their journey home. Even Sakura, who typically doted on Sasuke, kept her attention focused on her normally vibrant and outspoken teammate. Though Sasuke tried to maintain his usual stoic demeanor, even he cast occasional glances toward Naruko, clearly concerned. As the gates of the village came into view, Naruko calmly deactivated the Joggin and tied her headband back over her forehead. When asked why, she simply replied that she didn't want to reveal it to anyone else until she had spoken directly with the Hokage. Hokage-sama, Team 7 reporting, mission successfully completed, Kakashi announced upon their arrival. Well done, said the third Hokage, offering a warm smile. Though I admit, I was slightly alarmed when our patrols reported encountering the Demon Brothers recently. He then turned toward the unfamiliar face among them. And who might this be? This is Haku, Kakashi explained. He was once the apprentice of Momochi Zabuza. He now wishes to become a shinobi of the Hidden Leaf. Haku has exceptional skill in herbal medicine, chakra control, and would likely thrive as a medical nin with proper training. Additionally, he possesses a rare Kekkei Genkai, Hyotan. Kakashi hesitated, then drew a slow breath. There's one more matter to report. The Hokage's eyes narrowed, sensing something serious. It's awakened, hasn't it? He asked softly. Naruko's face contorted into a mixture of disbelief and frustration. You knew, she said, voice trembling. You knew this whole time. That he was my father. And you never told me. She pulled her headband off slowly. Though her hair stood up slightly, the Joggin did not activate. You weren't supposed to find out yet, the Hokage said gently. We agreed it would only be revealed once you had come of age, reached Chunin, or awakened your bloodline. It was one of his final requests. And I was supposed to be seen as a hero, right? Naruko said bitterly. As if anyone ever honored that request. Naruko. Sakura interjected, only to stumble back in surprise as Naruko turned, the Joggin now glowing brightly. Her gaze held none of the warmth or energy that usually defined her. It was unsettling, foreign. Naruko's voice was quiet, but intense. Tell me, Sakura-chan. How would you feel if the person you admired most, the one you respected above everyone else, turned out to be the source of almost everything difficult you've ever experienced? Her voice didn't rise. Instead, it trembled with emotion, echoing pain more than anger. Naruko. The Hokage said softly, I promise you. Arashi wanted only the best for you. It weighed heavily on his heart, knowing you'd grow up without him. But you must understand, he had many enemies. If anyone had known who you truly were, you would have been in danger. Whose child? Sakura asked quietly. Kazama Arashi, the fourth Hokage, was Naruko's father, Kakashi revealed. Sakura, Sasuke, and Haku stared, stunned into silence. But why didn't we ever learn this? Sakura whispered, more confused than ever. Naruko didn't respond. She simply lowered her head, closed the Joggin, and secured her headband once more. You can tell them the rest, she said, her voice barely audible. It's just a lot. Iruka-sensei or Konohamaru will probably know where I am. With that, Naruko quietly stepped out of the room, her face etched with silent hurt and emotional fatigue. Naruko wandered quietly through the streets of Konoha, lost in thought, when she noticed a peculiar square-shaped rock with eye holes subtly trailing behind her. She sighed softly, today wasn't exactly the day for games. Still, Konohamaru and his little group always had a way of lifting her spirits. Maybe it was Konohamaru's constant admiration, or how Udon and Moegi looked up to her with such respect. It reminded her that even in difficult moments, there were people who genuinely saw her for who she was. After Iruka, they were the first to truly accept her, not the prankster, not the reputation, but Naruko, just as she was. All right. Just this once, she thought, smiling faintly. I'll play along. Konohamaru. Naruko called out with a light chuckle, rocks aren't usually perfect squares. And they don't have eye holes. That's just what I'd expect from my eternal rival. The rock declared before bursting into a cloud of colorful smoke. As the smoke cleared, Naruko spotted 3 kids coughing dramatically. The one in the middle, wearing a yellow shirt, khaki pants, a blue scarf, and green goggles, was clearly the culprit. Too much powder, he coughed, eyes watering. Once they realized Naruko was watching them, they sprang into confident poses. The first to recover was a cheerful girl with orange hair and rosy cheeks. She wore a pink shirt with a maroon vest and khaki shorts, topped with green goggles. Graceful and strong, Kunoichi Moegi. Next came a boy in a dark blue jacket, khaki shorts, and oversized glasses. Model-making expert, Udon. And finally, the ever-enthusiastic leader, the village's #1 future ninja. Konohamaru. Together, the 3 called out in unison, "We are the Konohamaru Corps." Naruko couldn't help but smile warmly at their display. "What's with the goggles?" "We're honoring the way you used to look," Konohamaru said proudly. Naruko chuckled and patted his head. "Don't ever change, Konohamaru." With that, she vanished to the rooftops, heading toward her favorite quiet spot. Konohamaru-kun. Do you think Naruko Nate-chan is alright? Moegi asked gently. The usually lively boy frowned briefly before managing a small smile. "She'll be okay. Nothing keeps the boss down for long." Later, when the team gathered with Haku and the Hokage, the Jinan looked concerned after hearing what had happened. "Her eyes," Haku whispered thoughtfully. "They remind me of someone I saw once, back when Zabuza and I left the Hidden Mist. That expression. I've only seen it in someone who had lost their way, someone just trying to hold on." Sakura glanced at Kakashi, noticing the seriousness in his gaze. Sasuke, however, remained as quiet and unreadable as ever. "She hides it well," Kakashi murmured. "But to someone who knows the signs. It's clear. I didn't treat her unkindly, but I never truly helped either." "Don't worry, Kakashi," the 3rd Hokage said kindly. "She holds no resentment toward you. But it's time she sees that you care. She may not show it, but she values all of you. Deeply." With that, Sakura, Haku, and Sasuke went in search of Naruko, starting with the Konohamaru Corps, since Iruka was still in class. "Hello, Konohamaru-san," Sakura said sweetly. "Have you seen Naruko around today?" Konohamaru, however, frowned and crossed his arms. "Why do you care now?" he demanded. "She promised to play ninja with us. And didn't even stop to say hi." Sasuke sighed, "A real ninja? Playing ninja? That was the wrong thing to say." "Hold me back," Konohamaru shouted, trying to charge forward. "Nobody mocks the boss." Udon and Moegi clung to him tightly while Haku knelt to speak gently. "We mean Naruko no harm," Haku said kindly. "She's had a tough day, and we just want to make sure she's alright. Do you know where she might be?" Konohamaru eventually relaxed, though he kept one eye on Sasuke. "Fine. When she wants to be alone, she always goes to the top of the Hokage mountain. She says the view helps her think." "Thank you, Konohamaru-san," Haku replied with a smile. "Keep protecting the ones important to you, that strength will take you far." "You're nice," Konohamaru muttered. "You'd be way better for the boss than the girl with the giant forehead she likes. You're much prettier, too." Haku blinked. "I'm a boy," he corrected gently. Sakura had to be restrained. As the trio arrived at the top of the Hokage monument, they spotted Naruko sitting silently, staring out at the village below. "I'm surprised you came," Naruko said quietly, not turning around. "Don't be so shocked, I can sense things more clearly now. It's a side effect of the Joggin. Everything is clearer." Unexpectedly, Sasuke spoke first. "Even with your new abilities, you're still a bit of a goof." Naruko smirked. "Is that so? Then let's head to the training grounds so I can prove you wrong." Her grin grew confident. "You don't stand a chance," Sasuke replied coolly. "I wouldn't even need to activate my Sharingan. I'll challenge you so hard that your fan club won't know what hit them." Naruko shot back playfully. "If you hurt Sasuke-kun, no ramen for a week," Sakura shouted. "Exactly. And then we'll outmatch Ino, and Sasuke-kun will be mine." "Shanaro." Inner Sakura added triumphantly. "Sakura-chan." Naruko whined. Haku chuckled softly. It was clear these 3 would be just fine. Dash. Over the next week, life returned to normal, mostly. Naruko, however, stopped bothering Sakura as much. Sakura, oddly enough, began missing the blonde's attention and slowly realized how often Naruko had been there for her, especially when she felt discouraged after Sasuke's rejections. Naruko spent her time training, honing her new abilities and practicing kenjutsu after Kakashi gifted her the Yondaime's sword, Shikan no Rujin, Fang of the Dragon King. With guidance from Gekko Hayate and Tenten, her sword skills steadily improved. Kakashi watched as Sakura became more subdued. He understood why, he had noticed it long before she did. You don't know what you have until it's slipping away, he thought. He glanced over to Naruko, who trained fiercely in silence. But she's not gone. Her feelings haven't changed. She's just protecting her heart now. Dash. Meanwhile, Haku was evaluated and officially recognized as a Chonin, with eligibility for future Jonin exams. He was placed in the hospital to continue training in medical ninjutsu under the watchful eye of Yakushi Kabuto. Life moved on, almost. Dash. One afternoon. Sasuke-kun. Want to train together? Maybe we can work on our team coordination? Sakura asked, hope shining in her eyes. No, Sasuke replied coolly. You're not ready. Even before Naruko awakened the Jogan, your skills were weaker than hers. Oh. All right, Sakura said, her heart sinking. Weaker? Than Naruko? Not far away, Naruko sat cross-legged on a rooftop. Her eyes were closed, glowing faintly with the power of the Jogan. She had witnessed the entire exchange. Sasuke. You need to learn some kindness, she whispered. Yo, Naruko. Everything okay? Kakashi's voice broke the silence. Naruko opened her eyes. It's nothing, Kakashi-sensei. She wore a new outfit now, an orange sleeveless shirt, loose black pants, boots up to her shins, and a black trench coat with orange stripes. Her headband was tied around her waist, and a black one hid the Jogan when not in use. Sasuke turned Sakura down again, didn't he? Kakashi asked. I don't know what you're talking about, Naruko muttered. She'll come around, Kakashi said encouragingly. Naruko shook her head. You don't understand. This eye lets me see clearly. Sasuke's fans are fewer now, most are losing interest. But not Sakura. Her feelings are different. They go deeper. She doesn't idolize him. She wants to understand him. She truly cares. Kakashi gave her a solemn smile. Things have a way of working out. They always do, Naruko whispered. Then she turned to him. What did you come here for? Just a quick message, Kakashi said. Meet me at the bridge tomorrow at noon. Don't worry, I'll let the others know. Go ahead and keep training. Later that day, Naruko was strolling through the peaceful streets of Konoha when her Jogan briefly shimmered beneath her headband. Konohamaru. You really need to work on your stealth techniques. That's when a square-shaped rock with eye holes, which had been following the blonde Kunoichi, called out excitedly, I wouldn't expect anything less from my eternal rival. With a poof of vibrant, multicolored smoke, 3 kids appeared on the ground, coughing from the effects. Too much smoke powder. Wheezed Udon. Naruko quietly sighed as she watched them. Her 3 enthusiastic trainees were still wearing their signature green goggles, but now they also had trench coats similar to hers. Konohamaru's was black with a bright blue stripe down the sleeves, Moigi's was black with 2 pink stripes, and Udon's had 3 beige ones. The moment they spotted Naruko watching, the trio jumped into exaggerated poses. The most elegant and graceful kunoichi in the world, Moigi. I really enjoy long division. Added Udon with enthusiasm. Genius ninja and the future top Hokage, Konohamaru. And together, they all declared in unison, we are. The Konohamaru Corps. Naruko raised a brow with amusement. So? Adopting more of my flair now, are you? Of course. I can't let my eternal rival outshine me in style, Konohamaru declared. So? Boss. You got time to hang out today? Not sure. I've been really busy lately, Naruko replied playfully, scratching her head. The 3 exchanged glances and gave a decisive nod. Do it, Moigi. Konohamaru ordered. To Naruko's surprise, Moigi performed a series of hand signs. She couldn't recognize the technique until Moigi shouted, Puppy dog eyes no jutsu. Come on, boss. Let's play ninja. Konohamaru pleaded. Please. Moigi and Udon echoed. Nearby, Sakura observed the scene with a soft smile. It was in moments like these that she missed her bright-spirited teammate the most. Naruko always had a way of lifting hearts no matter the situation. Well, I suppose I can make some time. Naruko finally gave in with a grin. A ninja playing ninja, Sakura teased warmly. Sakura-chan, Naruko whispered in surprise, having been so focused on the kids that she didn't sense her friend's approach. Her expression briefly shifted, which didn't go unnoticed by Konohamaru. He decided to lend a hand to his beloved boss. Hey, boss. Is she? You know? He asked shyly, holding up his pinky finger as a signal. Glancing quickly at Sakura, Naruko took the safe route. She didn't want to interfere in her friend's personal feelings anymore. No, Sakura's my teammate. That's all, Naruko answered with gentle seriousness. The words, though simple, caused an unexpected pang in Sakura's chest. Why do you even care? Thought inner Sakura, trying to mask the ache. We've always liked Sasuke-kun, right? Focus. Sakura didn't respond, not even inwardly. Naruko missed the brief flicker of sadness on Sakura's face. Meanwhile, Konohamaru took a different approach, hoping to nudge things in the right direction. Just what I expected from my eternal rival. You'd never go for someone like her. You're way too awesome. Naruko's eyes widened in alarm, and Sakura's face fell before either could react. Konohamaru wasn't done. I mean, who would want someone with a big forehead? No. Sakura's emotions flared, her expression turning from hurt to absolutely furious, while Naruko froze in panic. Oh. Run, Konohamaru. The trio took off with Sakura in hot pursuit, Naruko hurrying after them to contain the chaos. As they rounded a corner, Konohamaru bumped into a tall boy in a black jumpsuit with cat-like ear accessories and a large wrapped object strapped to his back. Ow. Hey, watch it, you little twerp. The boy snapped, grabbing Konohamaru by the collar. Put him down, Naruko said firmly, stepping forward and revealing her sword. Easy, came a calm voice from a blonde-haired girl nearby. She wore a Suna forehead protector and carried a large fan. We're not here for trouble. Just here for the Chunin exams. He bumped into me. He needs to learn to watch where he's going, the boy said defensively. Sakura addressed the girl with a puzzled look. Wait, if you're from Suna, how did you get into the village? Even allied shinobi need official documents signed by the Hokage. You mean these? The girl asked, flashing a travel pass with a smug smile. We're here for the Chunin exams. Judging by your confusion, you must be rookies. That's kind of adorable. I'll say it one more time. Put him down. Naruko's eyes narrowed. And what are you gonna do? The boy mocked. You're not exactly intimidating. Before things escalated further, a small rock flew and struck the boy's arm, forcing him to drop Konohamaru. Hey! Who did that? Everyone looked up to see Sasuke perched calmly on a branch, crushing a rock in his hand. When it comes to a citizen of Konoha, especially the Hokage's grandson, it's everyone's concern, Sasuke said coolly. Looking for a challenge, huh? Growled the boy as he unfastened the object from his back. You're not seriously thinking of using that? The blonde girl said, visibly concerned. I wouldn't if I were you, Naruko warned calmly. Oh? And why not? Scared? The boy mocked. No. Because the one standing on the branch next to Sasuke. He's really not pleased right now. Everyone glanced upward. There, beside Sasuke, stood a red-haired boy with a gourd on his back, completely unnoticed until now. I didn't even sense him. Sasuke thought, startled. The red-haired boy, Gaara, teleported next to his teammates in a swirl of sand. Only Naruko and the blonde girl heard what he said next. You're embarrassing our village, Gaara stated quietly to the boy. What did we come here for? Look, they started it. Silence. The shift in tone froze both the boy and the girl in place. I understand, the boy replied hastily. My apologies. I didn't mean to cause trouble. Gaara gave a curt nod to Naruko and the others. Sorry about the trouble. Then he turned to Sasuke. What's your name? Uchiha Sasuke. And you? Gaara asked, looking at Naruko. Uzumaki Naruko, she answered calmly. Gaara's eyes flickered as he noticed the faint glimmer of the Jogan beneath her headband. It's difficult, isn't it? Naruko asked softly. That feeling of isolation. Wondering what your purpose even is. You don't know anything about me, Gaara responded coldly. I understand more than you think, Naruko said gently. Her sapphire eyes briefly turned red and slitted. Gaara's gaze sharpened at the sight before he turned away silently. "We're leaving," he said to his companions. "Understood," they replied, following his lead. Sasuke jumped down beside his teammates. "What just happened?" he asked Naruko. "That boy," Naruko said quietly, still watching Gaara's retreating form. "He's like me. We need to inform Kakashi-sensei when we see him tomorrow." Both Sasuke and Sakura nodded in agreement. Konohamaru looked at Naruko with a puzzled expression. "What do you mean, boss?" Naruko crouched to his level. "I'll explain, Konohamaru. Just not yet. When the time's right, I promise I will tell you, and Udon and Moegi too." Konohamaru looked like he was about to protest, but Naruko smiled warmly. "I promise, on my dream of becoming Hokage and on our friendship, you'll know everything someday." Konohamaru beamed. "You got it, Naruko-ne-san." Naruko couldn't help but smile, her fox-like grin lighting up her face. Dear YouTube family. That's all for now, thanks for being here. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and stay tuned for more awesome content. Much love. Anime Octopus.